Thank you. Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well today. My name is Schweitzer and I am at Shaun Stapleton. I've been a senior sales rep with Entourage for about almost 3 years now, but it is my first time presenting for the virtual conference. I'm excited to be here with you. Shaun, if you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I know these days can get a little bit long. We're in our final presentation here. We will do a little bit of some closing remarks at 4:32 as well, just in case anybody has any final questions. But the great news is that we are joined here by Haley. She was our number one sales rep in total sales for 2025. She's been with the company for just a little under 2 years. So you're going to get some of the tips, tricks, best practices that have worked for her, particularly over her last 2 years with Entourage and the ECS brands. So we are very excited to go through what it looks like to sell as many yearbooks as possible, best practices, not dependent on what type of school atmosphere you're in, and what works and what doesn't work, and how to set yourselves up for success here for the 25-26 school year as well.
Absolutely. Next slide, please. So an overview of everything we're doing today, how to plan, price, and market your yearbook, best practices. Again, like Shaun said, every school's needs are different, and we'll be exploring what some of your pain points are and how to overcome objections moving forward, and also how to raise awareness for your yearbook.
I think pain points is a really good word to utilize, particularly with this presentation. Okay. Everyone has different pain points. Some is demographics, some is red tape from your administration, some are parents are a pain in the butt, right? Some of them, all three, or it's a combination of one and two, whatever it might be. So please make sure you're utilizing the chat to ask some questions. Obviously, we've gone over an overview here. We'll talk about planning, pricing, marketing tips, sales tips, and how to raise awareness. The interesting thing is that a lot of these topics we've actually talked about in some degree in one of the previous presentations that we've probably done over the past 2 days. But what we want to be able to do in this presentation is elaborate on those things as much as humanly possible. And the only way that works, okay, as I continue to say with every presentation before it starts, is if you guys stay engaged with me here, okay, one more hour, promise we'll get through it. All right, drink that extra Diet Pepsi, Diet Mountain Dew. I think I've had more caffeine in the past 2 days than I probably have for the whole year. So I'm going to stay with you guys. We're all going to fight through, and we have some great things to go through here. But please, let's stay engaged and ask those questions, and let's talk about some of those pain points that you're individually experiencing. So hopefully, Haley and myself can provide some awesome answers for you guys for this year.
Absolutely. Don't hesitate to drop in the chat. We'll probably go over that, but if there's anything we missed, by all means, we're happy to have that open forum. But we're ready for the next slide. So planning your yearbook sales and marketing. So first and foremost, you want to identify the goals of your project. Are you looking to profit off your yearbook, or are you looking to break even? Some schools will sell a book for exactly what it costs for us to produce it. Some schools will charge a little bit more. Maybe those extra funds will go towards giving books away to students who couldn't purchase. Sometimes that will come from ad sales. Every school is different, and what works for you may not work for another campus.
And also with that one too, there's a possibility that you're not allowed to make any profits on your yearbook for whatever reason. I've had a lot of schools that say, "Oh, I can't use you because my school is contracted and I'm only allowed to use one company." But in reality, most of those times the situation is you're not allowed to make money on it. So Entourage has a system set up so that we can ensure that you only pay for what you need and what you sell. Okay, so that no money ever has to exchange hands from your PO office, from your procurement office, from your principal signing a check to us. Okay, there are ways to set up your online store where the only way that you can sell it is through that mechanism, so that you don't have to take in-school cash sales. You don't have to be taking payments from Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, all these other things. Right? It's a one-stop location. So please, when you're thinking about how to maximize your sales on that year, think about the models that we will talk about to fit your needs and to fit the requirements of your school district, of your principal, because there's plenty of opportunities or ways out there that your school should never, ever have to write a check to us. And the only time the word check ever comes up is when we are sending your profits to you at the end of the year, if that is something that you are able to do too as well.
On that note, which leads right into the next point, timeline. A lot of my schools, what they'll do is they'll sign on in the beginning of the year. You don't have to put a deposit down. So they'll start by setting up their online store with ads and yearbooks. And throughout the year, those sales accumulate on your account. And at the end, they apply to your invoice, almost like a payment method. And you can change your book count as needed.
And so we've talked, this is definitely a point that I know we've talked about at least 2 or 3 times probably over the past 48 hours is, start early. Okay. The timeline should really be, I hate hearing from a school, I'm going to wait till after Christmas break. And I'll tell you, we hear that a lot. Okay. It literally takes on the EDO side or the CSP side, it takes anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes to set it up. And once you become a pro at it, it's actually less than that. If you've never used the online store, whether it's for Remember Me, Peekaboo, or Entourage, send a quick email to your sales rep. We're going to be doing a lot more proactive reach outs this year to be saying, hey, let's get your online store set up and providing perks, possibly an account bonus of some kind for getting your online store set up early. That is to help you sell as many books as possible and hopefully raise more money for your project. But also it gives you more ammunition to be like, I've had this store on since August 15th. I've emailed you since August 15th because we all know those parents never want to abide by the timelines, right? Since we're talking about timelines that we try to set up for them. Okay. So if you have 8 months of solid timelining and giving them the option to buy their book, the sooner you can set it up, the better idea you're going to have of, well, how many extra pages might I need for ads at the end of the year? Can I add an upgrade to my book, maybe a nice foil or a spot UV, because I did pre-sell 50 more books before October 1st of this year, as compared to last year. So it really just opens a lot of avenues for you and your students to have a better yearbook, more opportunities, and just better, possibly even better upgrades if that's how you would like to use that type of money. So start those timelines early, expectations, talk with your sales rep as much as possible early.
Absolutely, we're here for you. And we'll elaborate on this more in just a moment, but also how you're going to market those books. Are you posting it on your school website? Are you handing out order forms? Are you hanging up posters around the school? So we're going to go over quite a few different points on how you should be marketing your book for the best results possible.
Yeah, and I think can you go back real quick? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I think we touched on this a little bit too. There's 3 essential ways that you can sell your yearbook, right? Online, in school, or just possibly giving them away. And that is supported by all 3 of the ECS brands. And don't feel like you have to do 1 or you have to do all 3. You can do 2. You can do in-school sales for only the last 2 weeks of the school. Whatever works, again, for you and your timeline, right? What makes the most sense? Because we're always going to have those last minute Lucy's, parents running up to you with their $20 in their hand, $40 in their hand, whatever it might be, and say, oh, I'm so sorry I missed the deadlines, but can I please give you cash for this? Can I please send you Venmo, right? We all have experienced that as yearbook advisors. No matter how much you email, post on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these things, you always have that mom or dad running to you at the end of the year saying, here, please don't let my kid miss it. So please, no, it doesn't have to be 1 or all for one, all 1 for all. There's a lot of different ways you can make this work, and it's based on what your needs, your desires, and your timeline look like from a sales and marketing aspect.
On that note, pricing your book. So for the schools that aren't giving them away and they are selling their book, of course, like Shaun said, you could sell them in person, online, a combination of all the above. But when it comes to setting that pricing, there's 2 options: for profit or to break even. Things to keep in mind when you are looking into this is what's going to work for your community, what will help you drive those yearbook sales, how long you've had them open. Like we discussed, the earlier you set them up, the more sales you will have. Another slide will go into timeline a little bit more, but if you catch them on before the holidays, it's before that holiday rush when no one's around, that email gets lost with all the Black Friday emails coming through, those end of the school year responsibilities. Keeping in mind reaching people while they're checking their email for school. Sponsored emails as well. For profit, you could either charge more for your yearbook or utilize tiered pricing. Tiered pricing meaning through the different softwares, you can charge, for example, your book costs $20 a book. If you get it within the first 3 months of the school year, it's just cost $20. But if you get it from the holidays to the springtime, it's $30. So the sooner they get the book, the less they pay for it, and that is a way to drive sales and profit off the book as well. breaking even, just charging your quoted price. And there are some schools that will charge a little bit lower, but then supplement that price with ad sales and other fundraisers as well.
And I also think it's very important to know here too as well, you can mix and match a little bit too, right? There's not just one way for every single person and every single school to be successful here. The number one thing I love about this particular slide is that it highlights the ones that will cover the bases for if you're gonna try to make some profit and buy some upgrades or have enough money for a camera at the end of the year, this again, the sooner you can plan for those and set your price correctly. Unfortunately, you always have these situations where people will turn on their online sales and put in 25 instead of 30, right? And then a bunch of orders come in, and you're kind of out of luck at that point, right? You've already charged credit cards and all that. So you just have to be very particular with that. In cohesion with making sure that you know how much profit that you're trying to make. And then also, if you're really just trying to break even, but you want to use the online sales portal, please make sure that you're talking to your sales rep. Okay, there's online sales fees that can be associated with certain types of online stores, not every single one. And you want to make sure that you're pricing the book or your ads at an amount that is covering that possibly too as well. One thing that always gets asked is, let's say, just for sake of making the math easy, okay, there's a 3% online sales fee for certain schools if they set up in a certain way. So they assume that if they put the price at $100, right, that we're going to charge 103 at the checkout. We don't charge that to the parents, right? It's built in to the pricing that you set. It's 3% of that $100. So it's actually, you would receive $97 of the 100 that you set up. Okay. So again, that's why clear lines of communication. My goal is to break even, Shaun, and I want to make sure that the price online is covering that 3% charge. That is definitely a conversation you want to have with your sales rep to making sure there's nothing worse than you think, oh, I covered all my books this year, right? And then it's like, oh, I forgot I did math wrong, right? And then you get a small bill, right? That's what we want to try to avoid at all costs. So again, open those lines of communication. Talk to your sales rep. Talk to your account manager. Okay, a lot of us have been doing this for a very long time, and we know the workarounds, the tips and tricks, right? The way to make it work for you. But if you don't talk to us, it's harder and harder for us. By March and April, things are already kind of set in stone. But yeah, I really like this slide because it highlights the two things that if you want to make a little bit of money, you definitely want to have a little bit of a higher price, and tiered pricing is a good way to do that too as well. And then breaking even is talking to your sales rep, making sure you're covering all the costs associated with it. The last thing you want is a magical bill at the end of the year too as well.
Best practice is to just talk to us at the beginning of the school year. Worst case, you call and you're a genius and you have it all figured out. We just talk about how your summer's been. That's always good to check in.
Absolutely.
So, marketing tips. How do I drive my yearbook sales so you get a yearbook, you get a yearbook, and you get a yearbook? Again, timing, which we already went into a little bit, but begin promoting your yearbook early in the school year and often. This can be putting posters up around the school, putting a post on Facebook, different social media outlets, but making sure if you do it early, you're catching parents while they're still checking the school website. They're looking for those beginning of the school year calendars and events, making sure you're reaching everyone while they're getting settled into the school year.
Yeah, another one here, as we continue to really, if you can't tell, get started early is a very big motivator of us here. But registration, right? I know a lot of us, we don't want to think about it, but registration for the school year has either already happened, is starting to happen, or is right around the corner. We're kind of in that weird spot right now. Having a booth at registration, I just am remembering when I would register for high school every year, we had to go through a physical. Mom and dad had to come and sign paperwork that I was good to play my 3 sports and all this fun stuff, right? But there was always a yearbook table sitting right there. I went to a very big high school, but my mom, God bless her soul, year in and year out, every single time, she'd walk right up to that yearbook table. And back then, there wasn't really online sales, but write a check for my yearbook, and I knew I was good, right? Something to look forward to. So please, registration events are huge, particularly at the beginning of the year. The big football games that kick off the season, those are right around the corner, but just sports events in general. People tend to be very excited about those types of events. The homecoming, right, too, is another good one at the beginning of the school year. So making sure that it's just a part of your DNA, for lack of a better way to put it, but getting it in early, starting early. But with all of you, all your schools run a little bit differently. But just think of all of the high traffic events that you might have that people are willing to bust out the checkbook, send you guys the funds then. I would recommend, again, having your online store set up then, because then if you want to do in-cash sales, if you wanted to do it through the link store or through the CSP store, everything is ready to go there for you. They can check out with a credit card and they can move on with their life. One less thing to have to worry about throughout the year. Start fast and early. That's the big piece of advice here too as well.
School spirit events are huge. Pleasure.
We have a comment from Christy. She just said that her school has an option on the registration forms that parents can check and reorder their yearbooks right when they're registering their students. So it's definitely something you can check their school about to see if they can add that on.
It's a
Right.
great strategy.
And I think it depends, public, private school, elementary, middle, high school, they all have their red tape. So this is another, I mean, that's the big pain point. That's awesome. Christie's school lets her do that, right? I would assume, and I know I hate assuming, but mostly private schools, they have those registration fees. It's probably a little bit easier to actually get them on those ones, as opposed to maybe a public school. So I would love to hear any other stories out there. It doesn't have to be right this second. If anybody else has the registration aspect of it too available to them, because again, a lot of these parents, they don't mean to forget, right? That's not their intention. So if it's on a piece of paper on like a registration form or signing your son or daughter up for their fall sports, if it's just on there, would you like to purchase a yearbook? Those opportunities you have to take advantage of, because that will help drive sales immediately from the beginning of the year.
I recall being in high school, and we didn't have as much of the digital aspect as we do at this point in time. So it was passing out those flyers, or if you didn't see the poster in the hall, and a lot of times you miss it really easily. So the kid is out that day, oh well. So being sure to market your yearbook at different high volume events and doing it early is always the best way to go about it.
Good. Awesome.
Back to tiered pricing.
I'm gonna take this one.
Go for it.
Tiered pricing works as long as you watch it from the day you turn it on until the time you turn it off. Okay, and as long as you are communicating at a high level of these particular dates. Okay, this can be super effective. I loved what Haley said at the beginning of this presentation of, you know what, for the first month of school or 2 months of school, break even on the book, right? Generate those sales, because again, these kids word of mouth marketing saying, oh, I already bought my yearbook. When they walk into an event of football, basketball, homecoming, a dance, an art festival, a science fair, whatever it might be, and that kid's like, oh, I gotta go buy my yearbook. And Bobby's like, oh, I already bought mine and I got mine for, the cheapest price possible. That makes a difference, right? It really truly does. If I'm being completely honest with everybody, I find that using a maximum of 3 different prices is probably the best one to do. I would say, obviously 2 is even easier, okay? But trying to set 5, 6, 7 different prices throughout the year is an absolute nightmare, both from a correspondence with the parents, kids having, a wide variety of prices, 7, 5, 6, 7 different ones. It's just not a good customer experience, if I'm being completely honest with you. So if this is the route you want to take, and what we mean by tiered pricing is if you buy the book before September 1st, your book is $20. If you buy it between September 1st and January 1st, it is $30, right? So if you purchase the yearbook in the new year, it will be $50, right? And I've seen schools do tiered pricing anywhere from $10 increments, $50 increments, $5 increments. It serves a purpose as long as you're telling people the book is going up, right? So don't forget to tell them, make sure you purchase your yearbook for example, by September 1st. Otherwise, it is going up X amount, okay? So that you're clearly communicating the pricing schedule and mechanisms. But again, this tiered pricing really works more, again, from my experience over the past 10 years, it works better on the high school level. It can be done at the elementary and middle school level too as well. But that is who I see has the most success with the tiered pricing. If you do want to set up tiered pricing, whether it's Entourage or Peekaboo or Remember Me, please make sure, again, broken record over here, make sure you're talking to your sales rep. Make sure it's set up right, okay? It is a very intricate system. It looks like you're just typing in dates, But you wanna make sure the dates are right, you wanna make sure the pricing is right. So getting a second pair of eyes, when you set up your tiered pricing is very good, and that's what we are here for too as well. Do you have anything that you'd like to add about the tiered pricing mechanisms?
You again, communication is the largest part of it. You don't want a parent calling you out of nowhere and saying, why is my book now $20 more expensive than Mr. Smith's book? So making sure, especially with the social media aspect of it, is where I see a lot of the high schools especially post it. So those are the kinds of things you wanna look out for.
Go ahead, Julia.
Janet's bringing up some great points in the chat. She's letting us know that sometimes for some schools, extending the sales for too long can almost be counterproductive. Do you think there's like a sweet spot on how long the sales should be open for?
So
Should it be the whole year? Do you think kind of almost limiting it, creating a sense of urgency?
So it's a case by case basis. I think the larger the school, the longer they should be open, in my opinion. I think that, to produce, the best sales and the best, overall experience for them. Smaller schools, can you get away with only selling it for the last month of the year? Possibly, absolutely. But what I will tell you is that make sure you plan to shut off your online sales at least 1 week before you submit for production. Okay, because then that way, when those parents do come running to you, because they always do with their money in hand, or I'll pay double, I promise, I need Johnny to get his yearbook this year, right? It happens every year. Okay, you have a week buffer, and then you look like the hero to the parents and the administrators who didn't look at the social media posts, didn't read their emails, whatever it might be. Okay, you know what, Mr. Smith, I'm gonna take this payment from you. I'll sneak it in. Yearbook sales are technically turned off. So my biggest piece of advice to Janet or anybody is no matter what, online sales are shut off when you submit for production. Okay? That is our golden rule. It is impossible for you to submit for production and then have you call us 2 weeks later and then say, oh, I need to add 50 books. Unfortunately, that's not how production of yearbooks works. We very rarely have the capacity or the option to just add more yearbooks because more people come flying in. So plan to shut off your yearbook sales if possible, about a week in advance. You can keep them open all the way until you submit for production, but just keep in your mind that that's it. Once you submit that book for production, online sales, in most cases, will be shut off. So I hope that answers Janet's question.
I think the most important facet of that as well is, let's say you're submitting for production today and you shut off your sales and you put it for today by accident. Once you approve for production, it's not gonna allow them to buy the book anymore, so that miscommunication can cause more harm than good. So always shutting it off for these.
Just watch it. And again, if you have a question, this year in particular, and we're gonna go into this a little bit, there's a lot of trimmings, for lack of a better word, that you can do with online sales. We have things like inventory sales, late book sales, that we can talk about too as well. So there are options for people who want to order late or order late because they forgot to order in general. And so that's just a great option, mostly on the Entourage side, that can be available to you too as well. But again, conversation and seeing what's best for you and your school. Sometimes it's just placing a reorder and taking all the sales in school within school sales. But there are some other additional options available for the ECS brands, for those late book orders too as well. Go ahead.
Dee Dee's also bringing up another great point. She said that in high school, for either herself or anyone who couldn't afford a yearbook, that by being on the yearbook staff, it was an incentive where you sold a full page of ads, you earned the yearbook that way. So you could kind of like fundraise for your book ad sales.
It's funny that Dee Dee brings that up. One of my schools, Christina Burke, she's actually been to this. She's presented before. She wasn't able to make it this year. She's in Indianapolis, Indiana. She actually runs a very similar program to that. Now you have to do the math. So again, it's a great time to get your sales rep on the phone because extra ads, you generally have to add pages to your book. It's going to make the book more expensive, right? So if you want to add that aspect to it, you got to think about adding pages, and you also have to think about covering the cost of the yearbook as well. So there's some math involved there, and I just don't want anybody to set up a program like that and then at the end be like, oh wow, we sold 20 full page ads. We need to add 20 pages to the book, right? So that is just, please make sure you're watching your accounting purposes, but that's a great program. I've seen it work on multiple times. Just Christina Burke pops in my head because I at Shortridge High School, because I know that they do something similar there. But yeah, if it's one ad for $200 or, you have to sell 2 ads for $100, I think those are very attainable goals. And it's always great to have a sales and marketing person in your yearbook club or class. Because honestly, that is just as important in some cases to some schools as it's the actual design of the yearbook. So that is always a good one too as well. But that's a great idea.
Ordering marketing materials. So it depends on your company, of course, what different resources are available to you. Also depends on your school. I know from the Entourage side, we have the posters and the order forms as well that are customizable. There's bilingual marketing as well. But making sure you order those early in the year too is super important. On the Entourage side, we do that until March. So you always want to make sure those requests are in as soon as possible. And collaborate with your account manager or your sales rep. We are here to walk you through that.
Yeah, March 1st. Okay, as you guys can imagine, once we get into the month of March for all the brands now, we are hyper focused on producing the highest quality, the fastest, highest quality yearbooks that we can. So printing marketing materials is unfortunately not at the top of that list once we hit March. But we always have updated, this is for all brands, we can send it to whomever, a generic editable PDF that year in and year out, and we do this both in Spanish and in English, for you to be able to manipulate and kind of make it your own. Highly recommend for those that you have a big old QR code, a very common word we've been using over the past 48 hours as well, that links to your online store. Short High School, another good example. They finally did that about 2 years ago, and they went from selling 40 to 50 books a year to more like 80, 90 books a year, right? So QR codes are a huge way, particularly on your marketing materials, whether you order it from us or you do it manually, have it all over the place. All right. Those kids know, parents know, scan that gets me to the book. We have the best checkout system, in my opinion, of any probably yearbook company out there. I know my partners will tell you that it's true compared to other companies. We make it very easy, both mobile and computer friendly. So please get those QR codes to your link store, to your CSP store, to get your parents to purchase their yearbooks fast, early, and often. But get it on the posters, get it on those handouts. We are happy to provide those to you free of charge, as needed too, as well. And remember, you can create multiple versions of a marketing piece, right? It doesn't have to be the same one in September, October, not the one that you put out in December, January. Put the holiday theme on there, all the different dances, homecoming, whatever it might be, right? Put some pizzazz into it, have some fun with your classroom. These kids are, generally speaking, already developing an awesome yearbook. For them to create a one-page PDF that looks amazing, it's not a real time eater, but it could really make the difference between having a good profitable year on the yearbook or missing out on those extra 20, 30, 40, 50 yearbook sales because we forgot a QR code. So please get those puppies on there and make them front and center so that everybody can get onto the website and place the order sooner rather than
Promoting electronically, we've touched on this a few times, but it is major, not just the QR codes, not just even the school site. But there are so many different ways to do it. One of my favorite things that we saw this year, I was talking to our marketing director, Kaylee, about it. There is a school that made a TikTok account and they were doing a spin-off of The Office with their yearbook staff. And that's how they were promoting their yearbooks. So getting the kids involved makes it really fun and personal. If you're not doing that with your yearbook club, let's say you're in elementary school where you just have a teacher doing it. Sending an SMS system, texting to the parents, emailing regular updates, posting to the school social medias and websites. But any way that you're putting it out there digitally, that is where people are most likely to look, especially in this day and age.
Please let us know if you post something and you want us to repost. I know every school district has different roles, but Jen and Kaylee from the marketing team do an amazing job. You've seen them on the right-hand side during this virtual conference, but they are doing a great job of make sure you tag us, okay? Jen will make sure we go in and like it. We'll make sure we repost it if you want us to repost it, right? Just getting the more acknowledgement, right? From somebody who might have more followers, or we might be able to push it out harder for you. Definitely something that we love to do and help you guys with too as well. So please don't forget that we are here to help you from that standpoint as well. And I'm sure that if you needed any help with that, Jen, you would have no problem if the school reached out to you, right? And asked what is best practices and how would you make this post, right? Jen has done an amazing job of learning the intricacies, to say the least, of running 3 or 4 social media platforms for not one company, but a couple different companies. And so best tricks, tips to how to get more visual, representation, to get it out there more, boost your posts, for lack of a better word. Jen is always happy to take those emails. If you just write into marketing@entourageyearbooks.com, happy to hop on a small 10 to 15-minute phone call with you for best practices of social media and selling your yearbook. It's a great way, and she really does do a fantastic job with those types of things. So, we will support you in any way, shape, or form to help you get those extra sales. And our marketing team, I know, is more than willing to help and step up as needed. If you need any help on that matter too as well. One of the big ones now is texting, okay? You folks generally know that you have a Rolodex, for lack of a better word, of email addresses and phone numbers, okay? If there's ever a world that you needed help with that, again, with email writing and things of that nature, A, ChatGPT is your best friend, but B, ECS is also your second best friend as it pertains to yearbook sales. Let us know what you're thinking. Again, reach out to your sales reps or your account managers, and we are happy to provide feedback and what has worked and what doesn't work. But just kind of blindly sending out constant contact campaigns or anything, that does not work, just doesn't. So you want to have some formality, but also some emotion in those sends, particularly with something like a project like a yearbook. And it's very, very, very important to the parents and to the students, right? Your blood, sweat, and tears are in that, and you want to make sure that you're conveying the right message throughout that process as well, too. So we are here to help. The one that we didn't quite touch on is, there should be a button year-round on your school website that says, "Click here to purchase your yearbook," right? And it should be in your header, your footer, should be on the main pages, the schedule, the calendar, whatever it might be. Please have that out and set up your store for Link or CSP ASAP, because that is also an awesome way. People tend to go there quite a bit, and you never know. It's just that extra 10, 20, 30 bucks can make all the difference for that particular school year. So just some best practices for the school website too as well.
Something you touched on that I thought was a great point and really important is customizing throughout the year. I've seen schools do the less is more approach, where they'll make like a Canva image for their Facebook or their school website. It's a fun holiday background with a QR code huge in the center, $25 yearbook for so-and-so elementary school. So trying to just, again, ChatGPT is a great tool. If you have verbiage that you want to convey and you say, can you make this more concise? And then putting it on that poster is a great way to market virtually.
Can always run coupon codes too, as well. Follow us on Facebook, receive a $5 off coupon for a yearbook, right? There's a lot of different things of that nature. Again, depending on the brand, depending on your availability to reach out to your Rolodex of emails and phone numbers, we can build a plan or a timeline for you individually for your school that works the best. But again, running coupon codes like, oh, send in a picture, get a $5 gift card, or $5 coupon off the yearbook this year. Those also help you get more photos, get more people buying the book, and taking off a little bit that might be helping out a family in need too as well. So those are all great attributes to be able to promote, but also feel a little good about it too as you go through that process.
Selling yearbook ads is a major way to do this. So ad types, usually depending on the brand, how they're showed up on the website, are broken down into 2 types. So personal and business. Personal are usually from the families, community bulletins, things of that nature. It could be a page dedicated to one of your 5th graders or one of your high school graduates. Business, local businesses, the pizza place down the street wants to purchase and design a page and put it in the yearbook. It's a great opportunity to help, again, boost your sales and make it so you can get that extra yearbook for a kid at the end of the year. Benefits, again, offsetting the cost, raising awareness. This especially helps with local businesses, and they are informational, and fill those pages at the end of your yearbook.
One of my favorite ones to do is another short range one, but you can go through and ask people for their business cards, okay? And the 8.5 by 11 books in particular, I think you can fit 3 by 8 or 3 by 7, something like that. And for them, all they have to do is give you their business card, and then you can line it up on the page perfectly, okay, and it fits very, very nicely, looks very professional, honestly. But if you charge $100 just to hey, give me your business card, it's $100, I'll put it in the yearbook, it's actually very, very, very popular. They don't have to do a whole lot other than giving you a professional business card, easy peasy. And they feel good about, hopefully donating $100 to your yearbook program. That page alone can be worth, I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's 21 fit on one page, if I'm not mistaken. So there's $2,000, give or take. You can charge $50 and then you make $1,000. You can charge $25 and then it's $500, right? That will more than pay for itself in terms of being in the yearbook, but it's a simple, easy one. And what one school does for me is at the basketball games, football games, they say, anybody who's interested in being a yearbook sponsor this year, please drop your business card in this fishbowl on the way out of the game or the festival or the science fair, whatever. We will reach out to you and let you know next steps. And then you can have your sales and marketing person from your yearbook team, yearbook club, call them and say, hey, it's Shaun over here at Neuqua Valley High School. You dropped your business card in. Were you interested in just doing the business card? But then you can also upsell them, right? And be like, hey, for a half-page ad, that's only $250 or whatever your pricing is. And then if you wanted to do a full-page ad, we let you do a little bio. That costs you $1,000, but just so you know, that $1,000 goes towards purchasing extra yearbooks for students of need. Okay, there are very few business owners out there who don't have a big heart. So it's very easy. Again, it's a great experience for students to go through and try to get that extra money and upsell going too. So that is a very good best practice. Business card to half-page ad to full-page ad. Go ahead, Julia.
So when you're selling your books and selling your ads, can you start your yearbook design? Do you have your yearbook started, or can you start selling them before you get started?
So you can set up ad sales whenever you want, right? I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Some of my schools start those ad sales before they even start their book. And we always recommend getting started early as possible, of course, but some of my schools will set up their online store at the very beginning of the school year. Maybe they won't start designing for a month or two and when they have more pictures. So it's whenever you want to do it.
You can turn off, and this is a great question. So you can turn off and on ad sales, even honestly throughout the year. So if you just wanted to turn on ad sales for the first month, you could just turn on the ad sales. You just want to have your yearbook sales on, you can just turn that on and never turn on ad sales. So there is no parameters or rules as it pertains to that. But again, like Bailey and I was saying, the sooner the better. Okay, you just never know who can stumble across that page and want to create an ad and help you out for your school year. Yes, Julia.
Another question I have is that one of the users may know about another company that uses yard signs in the area to advertise for yearbooks. Have you guys had any success stories you've heard from it? Do you recommend trying that out?
So not from the yard signs standpoint, but I will tell you that there are some things going on with ECS where we're going to have a wide variety of products available to our schools across all of the brands, and yard signs is definitely one of them. I know one that you'll always see is, my son is, or my daughter is a junior at NCHS, and then it has the year that they graduated in. We would love to be able to provide that to you. I don't have exact details on it now, but I know that it's something we will have in the pipeline for this year. And it's something that you folks will be able to order from us directly. We will fulfill it for you. But I've honestly never heard of somebody having actual yard signs with the yearbook information. But what are you going to have on that yard sign? A QR code to go to the website, to making sure that we're directing them to the right area. But I think that's an amazing one, particularly for events, or even just for people to have in their front lawn for recognition of the yearbook program, whatever you might want to call that. So that's a very good question, and hopefully the ECS brands here very shortly will be able to fulfill those yard sign requests too as well.
And before moving on from ads as well, another way you can drive ad sales as well. Maybe a student gets a free ad if they sell so many yearbooks as well. So there are those kinds of incentives.
And you hit a good point too at the beginning, where there are really two different kinds of ad sales, and I do think it's very important that you keep them separate, the personal and the business. Okay, people generally charge more for the business ads than they do for the personal ads, and then also it just helps keep separation of church and state, whatever you want to call it, to ensure that the ads are in the right place. You know which ones are going where, how many pages you have for just that one, and you can pivot and make adjustments based on how those fulfill. And again, great opportunity to talk to your sales rep. Well, Shaun, I've never set up ad sales before. I'm going to try it this year, right? And at the end of the day, guys, even if you don't sell enough or you don't hit your quota, we can always, like I said, pivot, adjust, and make sure that they're in the book appropriately so that the people who paid for them are getting what they want out of them. I've seen people use divider pages between freshman and sophomore class is a big old ad from the local, local business, right? Pizzeria, whatever it might be. And you can charge even more for that page, right, than you can for the end of the book. So that might not work. People might not want to put that in their yearbook. That's perfectly fine. But those are the opportunities, right? And if you're hungry to get as many books for as many students, sometimes you have to make those decisions. We have also on the ad sales side, I have a couple of schools who all they ask the business owner or whomever, all they ask them for is the money, and then they are willing to design the ad for them. Okay, it is again part of the sales and marketing team with your yearbook club, etc. But then they have to have that interaction with that business owner, or CEO, whoever it might be, and say, "Here's my first draft of your ad," and then they're going to get some critical feedback on it, right? And what a cool experience for a high school student or whomever to be able to interact with a business owner and get that type of feedback. And hopefully they're super nice. I've never heard a horror story from that, thank God. But it does. It's just a great opportunity for them to experience something in life that generally most of us don't get an opportunity to work with a business owner and talk about these things until much later in our life. So again, just life fulfillment, life opportunities. This provides a good opportunity for that too as well.
Offer fun incentives. So we just touched on this with the offering of free ad if a student sells a certain number of yearbooks. Sometimes this is, we'll host a pizza party at the end of the year for the group of children that sell the most books. Maybe a free book at the book fair, raffles and giveaways. There's so many different ways to do it. When I was in school, if you sold a certain amount of books and all different kinds of fundraisers throughout the year, you would be invited to a free party at the end of the year, or maybe you had like a day where you just got to watch a movie in class. But there are a lot of different ways to go about it.
And again, it depends on if you're in elementary, middle, high school, right? The incentives are very wide, right? It doesn't have to be one answer for everybody. But what motivates your students? Is it get out of school day free card, whatever, like Haley just mentioned? But there's a lot of opportunities there, and it really will help drive sales. But listen to your students. Field day, trip, movie day, like you said, whatever it might be. Every classroom, every student can be a little bit different. Haley's going to be motivated by something completely different than what Shaun's motivated by, than what Kaylee is motivated by, right? But dangling the carrot out in front of them definitely makes a difference. And I think setting those goals again early and often, so that the parameters and the expectations are set early, that'll have them strive for it for the rest of the year. There'll always be those procrastinators out there. We all have them in our classrooms. I know. The goal is to sell 5 ads, and they don't work on it at all. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks of the year, boom, they come in, right? But the sooner you can get them started and provide them with a fun incentive, the better off you will be with your yearbook class for sure.
You can even take a poll in the beginning of the year and see what motivates your students. For us, sometimes it's free prom tickets, things of that nature too.
I like that. And I think the schools would be more inclined to offer things like that, free prom tickets, things that they kind of control the fundage on anyways. So that's a really good one. I've actually never thought about that. I like that a lot. School driven incentives are very, very good ones too as well.
Sharing a sneak peek of a page of your book, some of the pictures that might be in it. So if somebody goes to a spirit event, like a football game, and you have your yearbook QR code out, and maybe some of the pictures laid out that you've taken throughout the year, someone sees their kid in the book, or I know when I was in school, I saw my picture out and about, it's like, oh, I don't own this picture. So it's a good incentive to be able to get everyone interested in seeing themselves in the book and feeling like a part of the community.
So we've talked about this too yesterday in particular. Order your proof books, all right? Try to get your cover as close to finished as you humanly can, as quickly as you can. One of the biggest drivers of yearbook sales, okay, is being able to order a proof book, having a real version of your book, okay, and being able to see that awesome cover that you had planned for this year, okay? And right next to that table at a function or a game, a festival, whatever it might be, right next to or sitting on top of that table, QR code to go to your website to buy the yearbook, right? Whether it's the link store or a private one, whatever, have that QR code or the website ready to rock and roll. Getting excited and hyped up about that cover is a real thing. Okay, it's 100% a real thing. And then also we did talk about handing out, whether it's a business card, a piece of paper. What we would do is we take a sheet of paper and kind of splice it, right? Cut it into about 16 pieces, and on there is a email address with the QR code next to it, and say take pictures of the event tonight and buy the yearbook after you send in your photos, because we're gonna use 100 photos from this event outside of the photography club, outside of the yearbook club, right? Get people excited, and then they'll already have a sneak peek or think that hopefully that their photo will be in the yearbook. That will help drive sales 100% for you too as well. But don't give away the whole book. A lot of the yearbook advisors who are here with us today, they like to keep it close to the chest, and I completely respect that. But Micah had mentioned, putting up little snippets of some of the photos on the outside of her door, right? Just changing those photos out every 3 weeks, I believe is what she told me, throughout the school year. And kids come by her classroom and see what photos are up there, because then they're like, ooh, my photo's in there. Ooh, it's not. So it provides that sneak peek of excitement, and it will help get more students involved, whether they're a part of the yearbook club or not. But definitely give sneak peeks, 100%.
So sales tips. We've touched on this quite a few times, but just reiterating anything that we went over before. So again, holding contests, including them in yearbook class dues, if that is how your school runs sales. Shaun mentioned having them at registration or having a table at the beginning of the school year, utilizing those events like games, prom, offering discounts, attracting them online.
Yeah, and again, the online sales portals are very, very powerful. I mean, it's very simplistic. It's a beautiful dashboard, all brands, easy to track how many books have been sold. And the great thing is too, is it doesn't just track your online sales. You have the capability to actually create in-school sale entries for cash sales, so that it kind of keeps your books in line. You can also create receipts through there too as well, even for the in-school sales, so that when Johnny at the end of the year comes up to you and says, hey, I bought a yearbook back in October, you can go to your online sales and just say, no, I paid you cash, I didn't buy it online. Oh no, I got all my online sale or my in-school sales right here too, Johnny. You're not on this list, cough it up, right? So just holding kids accountable. Unfortunately, those things happen year in and year out. But the online sales platform and tracking them is a very powerful tool. The thing that we've added, particularly with the upgrade to EDO Next, again, speaking on the Entourage side, is that you can actually see past years and how many books you sold at that time compared to last year. It helps provide some motivation to the students and be like, oh, we're a little bit behind. Oh, we're way ahead. Oh, we're kicking butt, right? So we're going to continue to layer in more graphs, more tracking mechanisms as the system continues to develop. But it does a really good job of also showing you total sales, what your online sales fee is at that time. But in that same dashboard, it also tracks ad sales. How much money have you collected? How many have been approved? What are your fees looking like if you happen to have those fees? So it just really gives you a great snapshot of where you stand as a company or a yearbook club brand, right? And how you are performing. And again, a great teaching tool for those kids who want to be those business managers, finance managers, and squeeze out those extra pennies for you too as well. Have those kids lead the charge through the yearbook sales portal.
So online school sales tips, again, we've said it, we'll say it again, start early. It is better to start early and end wherever you feel comfortable, but the longer you have, the earlier you're getting in people's inboxes, putting everything on the website, the more likely they are to see it and buy those books and or ads. The tiered pricing and promo codes. Promo codes, I would definitely recommend reaching out to your account manager or your sales rep, seeing how you can create those and the best practices for distributing them. Again, that $5 off the book, if you attend an event at school, can make a huge difference to a parent and whether or not they purchase a book on time. And then sharing the link in multiple different spaces throughout the school year.
You can really use this function to get other teachers who might not be directly involved in the yearbook process to be in your corner, right? Say, hey, they can explain to them, hey, I can help you get more people to your event, right? But we got to tie in a coupon or a giveaway or a yearbook contest, whatever it might be. Hey, if I get some of my students to put out on this yearbook release, that if they go to the science fair that's happening this Friday for whatever reason. Sorry, I'm not picking on science. I love science. But driving traffic to other events, and then say, hey, if you go to that event, you're going to get a $5 off coupon for your yearbook for that year. You're helping out that other teacher who's looking for some more foot traffic. You're driving more sales for the yearbook team, but you're building a camaraderie amongst your school on two fronts, really, both for the yearbook and for Mr. Smith who teaches science, right? So get some of those teachers and think about fun, creative ways to drive traffic and both to your online store, hopefully, but also to school events that we want people to be participating into as well. It's an awesome opportunity for collaborations with other educators at your particular school too, as well. So don't forget to think about that too, as well.
Announcing your sales. Again, everything we touched on, just recapping marketing slides. Word of mouth is huge. Ordering your marketing materials early in the school year before March, posting on the websites and making reminders, making sure you're not just putting the information out there, but following up on it, continuing to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, I love the schools that perform at the highest level with this. They definitely have the reminders aspect in terms of, okay, this month, what are we focused on for the sales aspect, and what are we focused on from the yearbook aspect? What are we doing for photography, right? What do we need to shoot this month? But I think the one that I see the least of is the sales reminders side of it. Okay, there's always the photography. We got to go shoot these classrooms, these events, etc., these sports events. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, what can you be doing? We have to have the principal letter done by the end of the month, right? Those are easy things because everyone directly correlates those with the yearbook. But the sales and marketing aspect of it tends to get left off of those reminders. Okay, we need to set up the online store by August 15th. We need to make sure that the ad sales are set up by September 1st. We are going to have 100 reach outs, right, by the end of October to local businesses. Those are the types of reminders that I think they get flushed away the quickest and the easiest because everyone is very hyper focused on the direction of the yearbook and the design, which completely understandable, obviously. But don't forget about the sales and marketing aspect too. There's a little reminders that you can do, and generally, a lot of those things are not nearly as time consuming as photo editing and writing copy for the yearbook, right? But they can be ultimately by the end of the year sometimes just as impactful as some of those other items, if done correctly, done on a proper timeline, and efficiently too, as well, obviously.
Finding those initiatives too. Maybe your photographer is a student going to a football game, but they have a lanyard that has a QR code to the yearbook store. So it's already on their mind. They're already there working on it. It's another way to drive those sales.
I think that's a really good point. Anytime someone's doing something related for the yearbook and they're surrounding themselves with students, staff, parents, educators, administrators, whoever it is, just be screaming it from the mountaintops, right? Talking about sales, sales, sales. Oh, we have the new website up. Oh, there's a coupon out right now. Again, I know every school's different, but having it in the forefront of your mind consistently and the student's mind, that's where the reminders on this slide in particular really stands out to me. I think we tend to put it on the back burner. Oh, we'll get to the sales. They'll come in by March. And then March comes around and you go, oh crap, I haven't even set up my online store yet. I should probably get on, right? So making sure that you're doing it from the beginning is very, very important.
All right, so there's a few minutes left for any questions. If anybody learned anything that they might implement this year, maybe you have a pain point that you have some new ideas on, feel free to drop them in the chat. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, we really appreciate everyone attending the sessions. I am going to have closing remarks, just so everyone knows, at 4:30. So we will technically shut down the stream for this one and then restart it right back up at 4:30. I do want to leave the floor open for any questions or concerns that you might have about the sales and marketing aspect. But you can take 2 or 3 things out of this one of start early, communicate with your sales rep and your account manager, and have some fun with it. Okay, every school is different and different strokes for different folks, right? So please take into consideration everything that we've said and build a program that is going to work best for you and your class and your administration to help you guys get to the finish line. But thank you so much for your time. We're going to wait for about 30 seconds to a minute here in case any other questions pop in. But we truly appreciate you guys being a part of all of our sessions and then joining us here for the last one too.
So thank you so much. No questions? All right, we shut it down. We shut it down.